Okay, in this video, we're going to deal with some that have perfect squares. So let's start out doing this just like we did the other one. We have one x in the front, so I'm going to put an x and an x to get that x squared, okay? Now, if I list all of the factors of positive 9, okay, that's going to be, if I have room up here, 1 times 9, negative 1, negative 9. 2 doesn't work. 3 does. 3 times 3, negative 3, negative 3. Now, there's nothing else that can go into them. And I want to pick the one that adds to a positive 6. That's going to be this one. So I put a positive 3 here and a positive 3 here. And notice that outside is 3x, inside is 3x, and that adds to 6x. Now, because these are exactly the same, we can write this as x plus 3 to the second power. Let's try another one. So over here, to get a 25x squared, I can do 25x times x, or I can do 5x times 5x. That's the only way to get a 25. Now, you guys, most of the time, it ends up being the smaller numbers. It is rarely the larger numbers, so I'm going to try the smaller ones first. I'm going to list all of the factors of a positive 36. So 1 times 36, negative 1, negative 36. 2 times 18, negative 2, negative 18. 3 times 12, negative 3, negative 12. Running out of room here. 4 times 9, negative 4, negative 9. 6 times 6, because 5 won't work, and negative 6 times negative 6. Okay, that's all the ways that will work. Now, one thing I notice is that I need a negative in the middle. So these positives are not going to add to a negative. I can go ahead and mark those out, and that cuts down half the stuff I need to do. Another thing that I notice when I'm looking at this, I notice that 25 is a perfect square and 36 is a perfect square. So I'm just going to start down here at the bottom. I'm going to start with this one, and I'm going to plug it in this bottom one. Now, when I go to do outside, I get negative 30x. When I go to do inside, I get negative 30x. And that adds to negative 60x. That is the one I needed. If it didn't work, I would try those up here. If that didn't work, then I would try the negative 4, negative 9 and switch them around. It's called guess and check because you want to keep doing it till you figure out the one that gives you this trinomial. Now remember, because these are exactly the same, I can write this final answer as 5x minus 6 to the second power. Because they are exactly the same, we can write it like that. Now let's look at some that are tad different, but the same principle. We're going to look at one where we have just two terms. We'll say a squared minus b squared. Now, one thing that's interesting about this, if I go to FOIL this, a times a is a squared. A times negative b is negative ab. B times a is a positive ab. Sorry, my handwriting is terrible today. B times negative b is negative b squared. Okay, I'm going to erase that, move it over because I ran out of room. So let's do it again. It's going to be a squared minus ab plus ab, and then minus b squared. And I think we touched on this when we multiplied the other day. Okay, what happens to these middle terms when you have a positive ab and a negative ab, they cancel out. So you get a squared minus b squared. So the middle term's going to cancel out. So when you're looking at a problem like this, you want to look at this and say, okay, I can't take anything out. I only have two things here. Let me see if they're perfect squares. Here they squared an x, and here they squared a 2. So if I write this as x plus 2 times x minus 2, and I check it, I will get x squared minus 4. Okay, one will be plus, one will be minus because the middle term canceled out, which is a little bit different than that last example. Let's look at this one. We don't have any common factors. We only have two things, and it's a minus in the middle. Let's see if it squares. 81 is 9x squared, okay? And 49 is a 7 squared. So if I do 9x plus 7 times 9x minus 7, check it and see, that will give you 81x squared minus 49. So when you only have two terms, you always want to look and see if you have perfect squares. Two terms and a minus. This does not work if that's a plus in the middle. It won't work. You can try it. Only works for a minus. So if you have two perfect squares with a minus in the middle, try it. Ask yourself, what did they square on each one? And then do the first one plus the second one, the first one minus the second one.